Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Rewind show right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, consider going down below and hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. On today's final edition of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Rewind show for 2018, we're looking back at Sunday's 20th annual Ford Ecoboost 400, 267 laps, 400 and a half miles, around the 1.5 mile Homestead-Miami Speedway in Homestead, Florida. We had our first cautions of the weekend that weren't for stage breaks in this race. Crazy how that happens. No cautions other than stage breaks in either the truck race or the Xfinity race. First caution was, though, for the end of Stage 1. That was at lap 80, and Kevin Harvick would be your Stage 1 winner. First caution for a non-stage break came at lap 140 when there was debris on the front stretch. Stage 2 concluded at lap 160 as Kyle Larson took the Stage 2 victory. Not a surprise, Kyle Larson was fast. He has pretty much made Homestead his playground. Unfortunately, in years past, for whatever reason, he has not quite picked up the victory there. But again, very fast today in this race. Stage number 3, we had a couple of incidents. First one, though, unfortunately, was for Kyle Larson as he blew a tire in turn 4, caught the wall a little bit. That was at lap 194, and unfortunately, that would ruin Kyle's day. And he was really the only person that could really contend with those Championship 4 contenders. They were all super fast in this race. Final caution came at lap 248 as the 2 of Brad Keselowski and the 19 of Daniel Suarez got together in turn number 1. 22 lead changes among 7 drivers in this race. Joey Logano led the most laps with 80. 58 laps were led by Kevin Harvick. 45 laps led by Kyle Larson. 41 laps went to Denny Hamlin. 21 laps led by Kyle Busch. 20 led by Martin Truex Jr. And 2 laps were led by Michael McDowell. Alright, so let's get into your results on this race. And your winner is Joey Logano, picking up the victory and becoming the 2018 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion. His first career Cup Series championship. He said it last week at Phoenix that he was the favorite. Nobody really believed him. Everybody kind of laughed at him, played it off. He wasn't part of the big 3, but he got it done. And, you know, we talked about this on the Cup preview show that went up this morning. He had been extremely fast all weekend, especially on the short run. And I think going into this race, a lot of people expected that, especially if it came down to a short run at the end of the race, 20 laps or less, Joey pretty much had the field covered if he was still there at the end of the race, and that's exactly what happened. Had that late caution not come out for Keselowski and Suarez, I think Truex pretty much had this championship under wraps. He was running down Kevin Harvick. Kyle Busch's strategy was not going to play out for him had that late caution not happened. And Truex, I think, was going to get around Harvick, and I think it was Truex's championship to lose had that last caution not come out and things not played out the way they did with everybody being on fresh tires and getting through that late restart. Truex, though, unfortunately, does come home in the second position, 1 spot short of defending his championship in the final race for Furniture Row Racing. Truex, of course, will be moving on to Joe Gibbs Racing next year to replace Daniel Suarez. Kevin Harvick came home in the 3rd position, just kind of off all night. Had a bit of a short run car, but his car started to fall off, I think, a little bit before Logano's did. And I think Logano just, though, was a little bit faster than him all night anyway, especially as they got more into the nighttime. Kyle Busch, there in the 4th position. Interesting, though, to note before we get into Kyle Busch, all 4 Championship 4 contenders were the top 4 positions in this race. Incredible how that actually happens. had a very stout championship for this year. Kyle Busch, though, just other than the very first run of the race, just did not seem to have anything for the other three. He was fast comparatively to the rest of the field, just really couldn't do anything with Logano, Truex, and Harvick. He, I think, definitely easily was the fourth fastest car of those four tonight. Brad Keselowski rounded out the top 5. The rest of your top 10, another strong run from Matt Kenseth in what could possibly be his last race of his career. No announcement yet on what he is doing next year, if he's doing anything. Chase Elliott came home in the 7th position. Clint Bowyer, Eric Almirola, and Kurt Busch rounded out the top 10 to put all 4 Stewart-Haas cars in the top 10 in this race. 11th through 20th, we see Denny Hamlin here. He started on the pole. Led some laps early from the pole, 6th in the first stage, 8th in the second stage, came home in the 12th position. Kyle Larson, after his brush with the wall and the flat tire, was never really able to rebound from that, and 13th would be the best Kyle Larson could muster on the night. Jimmy Johnson there in the 14th position, his final race with Lowe's sponsorship, Ally Bank coming in for him next year. In that throwback to his rookie season. He went all out with this throwback paint scheme, throwback fire suit, throwback helmet, even shaved the beard, clean face to look like his rookie season. He went all out with this. Had a decently fast car. Unfortunately, 14th was where he would end up at the end of the night. Jamie McMurray there in the 18th position as well. Possibly his last race as well. Still no word on what he's doing next year. Rumors swirling that he might just run a one-race deal with Chip Ganassi Racing for the Daytona 500. Not exactly sure what he would be doing beyond that. We'll just have to see. AJ Allmendinger, also possibly his final race there in the 19th position. 21st through 30th, Bubba Wallace in the 21st position. William Byron, his final race before getting Chad Knaus as a crew chief next season. Lots of changes happening next season all throughout the garage. William Byron, of course, getting Chad Knaus for a crew chief next season, moving over from Jimmy Johnson. Byron came home in the 24th position. Of course, Byron is the 2018 Rookie of the Year. He locked that up last week in Phoenix. Paul Menard there in 25th ran a cool little David Pearson throwback, I guess you could call it that. Had David Pearson underneath the window on the passenger side, and of course, as everyone else did this weekend, running a sticker on the car to honor the memory of David Pearson, who we lost last week. 31st through 40th, final page here. Just most of these cars just having problems at one point or another throughout the race. Regan Smith was behind the wall early and came back out, but 27 laps off the pace at the end of the race, not the way he wanted to end his tenure with Levine Family Racing, as Matt DiBenedetto moves over to that car next year. All right, so that's your results from the Ford EcoBoost 300. Now let's head over to the Media Center. We'll see what Joey and your other top finishers had to say after this one.
Sure. I don't know where we missed it. Just I thought we were way closer than that yesterday, and felt pretty decent about things post happy hour and the changes that we were going to make overnight to get into the ninth race, and then just today we weren't even close. Just no rear grip all night long, just sideways, and no front grip along with that to go with it. But just on the long runs, just couldn't enter the corner, and we were just getting smoked getting into the corners and not being able to turn the steering wheel. So overall, just frustrating night. And Adam called a great race, got us in position there when we long ran and caught that caution luckily, and everything came to fruition. Just when you're half a second off, you're not going to hold anybody back.
And we're also joined by the driver of the number 4, Jimmy John's Ford, and that's Kevin Harvick. Kevin, you led a number of laps tonight. Just take us through your race, please.
Yeah, we had a daytime race car. As soon as it got dark, we just never could get our car tightened up there at the end, and then they made a great call to put us in position to win the race, and then the caution came out when the 2 cars spun the 19 out and came off pit road, fourth, and just our strong point was not the restarts tonight, and wound up on the wrong side of it.
I don't know. It's a tough night. It's a tough way to lose. Kind of reverse the tale from last year. Last year we did the same thing they did tonight, so that's the way it goes. But just didn't play out the way we needed it to. We were terrible for 10, 15 laps on new tires, and was able to get a good restart there at the end, luckily, and get out front. I had nothing for him at the end, so I needed 15, 20 more laps, and that's just the way it goes. So not sure what else to say, but really proud of everybody on our team, for fighting hard this year to get to where we were, and without that last caution, it was in the bag, I think, maybe. So we'll see, but hurts a little. I'm going to miss all the guys, and had a hell of 5 years with this team, so just proud of them, and we're going to celebrate no matter what tonight.
Well, I think the playoffs, obviously with 16 down to 4, there was lots of emotion, lots of good racing, and certainly to see it today with all 4 of them up on that pylon almost all together for the whole 267 laps just shows you, how good these guys are and how good the racing is. There's just no question that, Joey wanted it bad. I think Todd Gordon, the team, gave him a terrific car. We had the benefit of being able to work on our car, after we got in at Martinsville, which certainly gives you a couple of weeks to not have the pressure, which I think was definitely a benefit for us. But there's no question that the speed we had for, say, 30 or 35 laps was pretty outstanding. And, that 19 with that spin was absolutely opportunistic for us, to get back in line here. We had some great pit stops. I think our guys on pit road showed just, how good they were today. When you look time and time again, they put us out there. So for me, it's a thank you for, all the 450 people that work at Team Penske back in Mooresville, and our sponsors, certainly for Ford. I think it's the first time they've had a championship since 2004, and to get the the owners championship for the manufacturers, and also the drivers championship was amazing. I think Kurt Busch was the last one that had that victory. So those are all special milestones, and for me, it's 33 championships that gives us as Team Penske, and certainly to get the Indianapolis race, the Southern 500, and now to think that we're the champion of 2018 for Monster Energy Cup is something that I never imagined at the beginning. We started out strong, I think, when you looked at our speeds at Daytona, and I think we had a little bit of a shallow spell there, and our guys got to work, and Travis Geisler and Tim Cindric and Mike Nelson and just the whole team, along with Todd Gordon, our crew chief, just they were stellar today. And Joey's run there at the end, with Martin, that was clean, and it was amazing. Partway through the race, I said, hey, we're not in this thing. And then you get up front and run, and you feel, well, I feel a bit better. And I'm not sure anybody, if you looked at the first 150 laps, knew who was going to win. So I think that's what the fans wanted.
I said at the time, that's in our wheelhouse. You give Joey Logano a sniff of it with a short run at the end, and seeing the front of the pack. I think all weekend we had phenomenal front run speed. We could go 15 laps, I think, better than anybody. And we knew, I felt like, and we had talked about this race typically has late caution. It's just how it kind of unfolds, that there's typically one somewhere late in the race, and when it came up, there it was, our opportunity and Joey's, and you give him that opportunity of here it is, it's right in front of you. He steps up to another level. So great run there. We tightened him up and got him tight enough to what he could really hustle, and made good work of making speed and getting to the front, getting clean air.
All right, has it sunk in yet? Talk about being a champion.
It's just, man, it's incredible what goes through your mind and how it feels to be able to cross the start-finish line. You're able to take the lead, and there's quite a few laps left, and as you get closer, 5 laps, 4 laps, you're counting them down. You're like, I just want to take the white flag to where the caution comes out, we got it. And it really felt a lot like my first win in Pocono, and kind of that same thing, because how big that first win was to me. And once you get that first win, your goal changes to winning a championship. And I remember those laps there, and my foot would shake on the way down to put the throttle down, and my foot kept shaking, and I started doing that again. I was like, oh my goodness, it's been so hard, and such a long road to get here. And been so close and had that feeling of defeat, and man, it stings. It hurts a lot, and the last thing you want is to have that feeling again. But yeah, I felt so confident going into this week that we were the car to beat. And I felt like, after winning Martinsville, it put us in the spot to really focus in on this race, and we did. We built a great race car, that was able to be good on the short runs. It wasn't a long run race car, that's for sure, but a 20-lap car, it was that for sure. And my race team, I wasn't worried about them at all, and I knew I just had to do my job, and everyone's going to do their job, and everything was going to be fine. Either way, everything was going to be fine, but I felt confident and relaxed that today was going to be a good day.
The elation of a champion. Very cool to see. All right, let's take a look at your final 2018 point standings for the Cup Series before we wrap up here tonight, of course. As we have already seen, Joey Logano picking up the championship. Aric Almirola made his way all the way into the top 5 in points to wrap up the season there in the 5th position. Congratulations to Aric Almirola. Definitely by far his best points finish ever. And then, of course, we see Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, and Ryan Blaney also finishing in the top 10 for the season. All right, that's your final point standings for 2018, and I believe that will do it for us tonight on the final Cup Series rewind of 2018. Of course, we did have Xfinity and Truck rewinds go up for their races this weekend as well. They are linked down below in the description. We also had a Cup Series preview show if you missed it. Probably doesn't do you a lot of good now since the race is over, but that is something to look forward to as we get into next season. We're going to try to really hit those preview shows hard next season for you to give you an idea of what's happening heading into each race. It's something we wanted to bring back here at the end of the season. Unfortunately, we only brought it back for the last 2 races, but that is something we definitely are going to be doing a lot of coming into the 2019 season, as well as some other stuff that I think you'll like as we get into our 2019 coverage. Of course, pole position coming up tomorrow evening, Monday evening, 8 p.m. as usual, to recap all 3 of these races from Homestead very quickly. The penultimate episode of Pole Position in 2018. The final episode of Pole Position for 2018 will, of course, be next Monday as we talk about the final race of the season for Formula One. And then Pole Position will be done for the winter as well, and then we'll be headed full bore into our off-season coverage, including diecast reviews and some other stuff that we have yet to announce that I know you're going to like. So got lots of good stuff here on the horizon. I think you're going to enjoy what we have coming up. So if you haven't done it already, go down below, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. The community is growing. We're bringing more fans here to RNN every day, giving you some great coverage, and I'm just thankful and grateful and humbled that you come here to see me talk each week about these races, and that we can have these conversations and these chats and discuss what happens in these races. It is a lot of fun, and got lots of great stuff coming up here in the off-season and next season, as I keep saying, but I am rambling at this point, so we will get out of here. If you haven't already, hit that big thumbs up button. It's much appreciated when you do. At that, this has been the final Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Rewind show of 2018. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.